I'm not gonna lie, after the launch of Black Ops 7, I was a little bit depressed with the story. It was a sequel to Call of Duty Black Ops 2, one of the greatest stories of all Call of Duty games. And then it came out with this.
Save yourself! I'm a goddamn
Flower.
Mason. You should know that.
And honestly, I was really disappointed with where the story went, what it could be, but lo and behold, as of the launch of Season 1, we got a brand new cinematic. And I have seen a lot of conversation around this cinematic, but specifically I've seen people saying it's great, and I've seen people saying it is the worst seasonal cinematic we have ever seen. And I don't agree with either of those. So in this video, not only am I going to explain to you the story of Season 1 and where the seasonal story of Black Ops 7 is going, I'm also going to give you my opinion on what this story is and how it is actually going to take place and why this cinematic is actually better than the entire campaign. And in fact, I truly believe that this cinematic should have been what the campaign actually was. And you'll see what I mean as we go through here. But first things first, if you haven't seen the cinematic, this is what it is. It's about 1.5 minutes, and then we'll begin to break it down.
Convoy shut down. Repeat. Convoy shut down. Kills everywhere. On your feet, Miss Kagan.
Thorn, you're late.
Mason, right on cue.
This ends now, Dorn.
I'm not here for her. I'm here for you. Your mind belongs to me now, Mason. Welcome to Project Synapse.
All right, so first things first, the biggest moment of that entire cutscene was this.
I'm not here for her. I'm here for you.
And the first time I saw it, this was my reaction. Oh, jeez.
I'm not here for her.
What?
I'm here for you.
Okay, did that actually happen? That's of course over on Ink TV. If you're not already subscribed to that channel, you should go check it out. Needless to say, I was really shocked, and people are 50-50 on this one. The biggest thing that I see is a whole bunch of simps mad that their girl Emma Kagan is actually dead, but there's a lot more to that than meets the eye. Let's start out with the beginning here. So at the very end of the Black Ops 7 campaign, we capture Emma Kagan and we escape with her, and she is on a prisoner transport. That is where this picks up. As we are transporting Emma Kagan, the transport actually gets shot down. The person to do it is someone by the name of Dorn, the new leader and CEO of the guild. Now, this takes place on July 18th, 2035 in Japan. And the idea of putting this in Japan, believe it or not, it's actually really important, because if we go back to the campaign, there is one mission in particular that takes place in Japan. Now, this is the mission where you do not play as David Mason or Spectre 1, you play as Spectre 2, the second group of soldiers, which includes Anderson, the pilot that we saw shot down in that cutscene, as well as the bad guy who is working with the guild. Now, in this mission, you end up crashing hijacked into the guild facility and then breaking in. But the reason why it's important that it's in Japan is because David Mason was never there beforehand, which means the cutscene that we're seeing here, where Emma Kagan actually gets shot in the head by Dorn, is not an hallucination. It is not due to Cradle like we see on Avalon. This is legitimately happening, and because it's taking place in Japan, it reconfirms that. So we're not gonna, well, I at least hope we're not gonna have a situation where we see, oh, I wasn't actually in that prison transport. Now, for a very long time, in basically every post-seasonal story except for Cold Wars, I've always said that they need to not be afraid to kill main characters. And that's exactly what they did here. They shot Emma Kagan in the head, leaving no mystery, putting it in Japan, showing us she is dead. Now, if they bring her back to life, then we'll have some issues. Now, I get that a bunch of you are simping for her and don't want that character to be dead, and I understand that, especially because the entirety of the campaign was about Spectre 1 and David Mason taking that character hostage. That's a little bit silly, and that's why I say that I truly believe that this cutscene should have just happened at the very beginning of the campaign, because then it would set up a much more interesting story, especially because of what happens after this.
Your mind belongs to me now, Mason. Welcome to Project Synapse.
So Dorn wasn't actually moving in to take in Emma Kagan, he was rather moving in to take in David Mason. And specifically because they are the only crew, JSOC is, that have this thing called a C-Link, or a cerebral link, which linked the minds of Spectre 1 all together. And now, because of this, Dorn now has access to David Mason's mind. Now, if you've followed me for a while, at the very beginning when we were first getting revealed what Black Ops 7 actually was, I said that I thought the multiplayer was going to take place all inside of David Mason's mind. The reason why I said that is because we've seen this twice before. The first time we saw it was in a game called Black Ops 3, which was, I guess you could say, the first sequel to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Now, the difference with this game is it took place in the year 2065, and it was an incredibly trippy campaign and an even more trippy multiplayer. And the reason for that is because all of the soldiers in this game had something futuristic called a DNI, or direct neural interface, which would allow them to have augments like robotic arms or things like that line, for example, that could allow them to access and use technology in ways that have never been seen before, making it a futuristic shooter. This is an extensive example of a futuristic version of the C-Link, which we are now talking about here in the year 2035. The one thing you may not know about Black Ops 3 is that the entirety of the multiplayer actually takes place in a computer simulation with all of the operators using their direct neural interfaces to interact with it, to train them for actual war, being able to fight in this fictional war. A great example of this is the map called Micro, which is you being on a picnic table with everything being massive size. The reason why that could happen is because you're in a computer simulation. Now, the next Black Ops game after this was Call of Duty Black Ops 4. This one took place in the year 2045, so 20 years before Black Ops 3, but if you're paying attention, 10 years after Black Ops 7. Now, what's interesting here is the very last thing that happens in the new cinematic is this.
Welcome to Project Synapse.
Now, we are introduced to something new called Project Synapse, which does confirm that the entirety of the multiplayer is taking place inside of David Mason's head, hence why we're seeing maps in Nicaragua, the USS Obama, all of which have trippy moments and even portals that you are able to go through. But this Project Synapse says that it takes place on July 19th, 2035 in Australia. We don't know whether this location is real or not, or whether this entire location is inside of David Mason's mind, but based off of how it's looking, it kind of looks like it's inside of his mind. But the interesting part about it being called Project Synapse is, again, if we fast forward 10 years, In Call of Duty Black Ops 4, there is another project going on by the name of Project Blackout, which is to create archetypes. Now, this is being done by a character by the name of Savannah Mason, which is David Mason's daughter. She is known as the world's first trillionaire, and she is specifically working with super soldiers with direct neural interfaces, again, an advanced version of the C-Link, to create these super soldiers and create the best army in the world. And eventually, she uses that $1 trillion that she has created to create archetypes, a version of humans that are essentially clones of people from the past, who she clones Frank Woods, she clones Alex Mason, who, by the way, is her grandfather, as well as other characters including Raul Menendez. Now, we never knew how Savannah Mason became the world's first trillionaire, but it seems as though there may be some sort of crossover between Dorn and Savannah Mason. We just don't know what that is yet, but the earliest version of the DNI we know is the C-Link, which is in Project Synapse, which we are seeing here. So I totally understand why people would be frustrated with this cutscene. They made an entire campaign building up this character of Emma Kagan just for her to be killed in the very first post-seasonal cinematic. It's kind of pointless, if you ask me, but to me, that just makes me more mad at the campaign. For example, let me paint you a picture of what the campaign actually could have been with just a couple of changes. If instead of what we got in the campaign, instead, at the very beginning, we are introduced to Emma Kagan and the Guild, and our characters, the JSOC team, moves into Avalon, where they first experience that trippy gas known as Cradle. They breathe it in, and instead of all of the filler, instead of Frank Woods turning into a plant, instead of Giant Harper, we just got the scene where David Mason went back and got in touch with his father Alex back in their home in Alaska. That's the only trippy mission that we actually get in the game. And then the game continues on and we capture Emma Kagan, maybe 2-3 missions into the game. And then this cutscene plays. It completely changes the way that the campaign would actually work, because now we'd be taking place the entire rest of the campaign, just like the entire rest of the seasons that we are going to get are going to be inside of David Mason's head. Throughout the entirety of the campaign, they never built up Emma Kagan as a character. We never got backstory. We never got motivations for her. And the reason is they were planning on killing her off the entire time. Again, that's the fault of the campaign. I'm actually hopeful that this story that they are telling moving forward throughout the seasons will actually explain some things from other games, whether that be Savannah Mason or David Mason's daughters, or how this technology goes moving forward. The one thing that we don't know as of yet is what are Dorn's motivation? Is it just money? He wants to make more money with this new technology called C-Links, potentially creating DNIs? We don't know that yet, but what we do know is he's got control of David Mason and he's tinkering with his mind. What happens next? I'm not sure, but that is the story for now. Hopefully I could explain it to you. Let me know, do you love it? Do you hate it? I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. And for more stories, specifically the one that I want to do is the story behind all of the multiplayer maps and how those all fit together. If you want to see that, hit the like button. Let me know down in the comments. And until next time, peace.
We are